welcome back to another episode of OHKO, a Pokemon VGC podcast. It's actually September already, which is crazy. The new season of Pokemon is coming up, and yeah, still a little bit about Worlds to talk about to fully wrap up the 2025 season. My name's Sierra Dawn. I am one of your hosts, joined here by my co-host, Joe Brown. I feel like it's been forever since I've been on an episode. I'm not going to lie, I've been holding down the fort. How's it been?
It's been good. It's been good. It hasn't been as long as you think. I think, Worlds was just like technically only 2 weeks ago. So it was only the 1 week that you were away, but you were sorely missed. Cedric and Montana send their love your way. But honestly, it's been fun times. I think this was such a great World Championship experience that and a whole great weekend that I think it's still okay to talk about Worlds in a recap 2 weeks later,
Yeah, especially too, obviously, we had to talk to a world champion. We had to talk to some amazing guests who did fantastic. But as well, I know that there's, the little backstage talk, what's happened, like the casting end of things that people are interested in, talk about our experiences and talk about the other news, like stuff for next year's Worlds and that sort of stuff. So yeah, still worth talking about. And I actually can't believe I've only been gone for 1 week. What? Wait a second.
Well, you were on a really long plane ride, right? I think that's where we're going to start. Worlds can wait. We got to talk about you went on a massive trip here.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, after getting back from Worlds, I was back for about a week, and then I headed out to South Korea for another broadcast. So this one was for IGG, 3 different mobile games that I did over the weekend for their World Championship, and that was a lot of fun. It was my first time in South Korea, and I think it's really funny because everyone's like, oh, how is South Korea? How is South Korea? I stayed at the Inspire Resort. The second I walked in, I never got to leave. I did not see the outside world until I left on Monday morning to go back to the airport. So
oh, wow.
Everything that I experienced about South Korea was just in that one resort, and I got nothing else to base it off of. So
I think it's funny because you have kind of the inverse. I had some foreign exchange friends and people who immigrated from other countries, and they all the line was always they learned about American culture or learned about America through watching Friends on TV, right? So you're kind of inverse, where everyone's like, oh, I thought America was going to be just like Friends. Your whole Korean experience is just that one location. You're like, hey, how is Korea? Well, this one building in Korea is really cool.
This one building that was built for tourism, and all of this other stuff was, really, really cool. I learned a lot, but no, it was a lot of fun. So
how long was that flight?
14 and a half on the way there, and then 12 and a half, 13 on the way back. Plus, on the way there, we ended up sitting on the runway for 2 hours. I fell asleep as soon as I got on the plane, and then I woke up and I'm like, I've napped. Wait, we're still on the ground?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and then they were fixing the issue long enough that they needed to refuel because it was just a direct shot there. So, I mean, it could have been worse. Kind of sucked to add 2 hours onto a trip, but whatever. Yeah, it could have been worse, but yeah, it was a long trip.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, basically just as long as Japan, right? At that point. So, but I think it was cool. I'm happy you got to, even if you only got to experience one touristy hotel, you still got to you can cross South Korea off your list of all the cool places you've been.
Yeah, and hopefully I get to go back in another day and actually be able to explore a little bit more too. And the broadcast end of it was super fun because obviously every game does their games differently. This was World Championship, and this one was a lot more crowd work, which we don't necessarily get to do in Pokemon. But this was very much so okay, we're doing this giveaway, and you guys are going to improv for this whole 20-minute segment on stage and just work with the crowd and stuff, which is not experience that I really get to do. So I was kind of nervous about that going into it, but then by the end of the weekend it was it was just it was a lot of fun. So I feel like that was helpful to get that experience for Pokemon going forward, because then it's doing all this on stage, the nerves are gone. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I missed Pokemon talk. I missed Pokemon.
Yeah, now you got your bases covered. You gain more skills to bring back home to Pikachu,
Exactly.
So I do think I kind of didn't really talk too much about the world's experience last week when you were gone, because I kind of anticipated that we could wait till we were together. I know we have some prominent members of the OHKO community that have been pestering me saying, I want just a Joe and Sierra show. We never get just a
Aw.
Joe and Sierra show anyway. That's Zoinks, by the way. Zoinks is the
It's
one that
it's Zoinks,
he,
bro. Of course
he
of course
keeps
it's
pestering
Zoinks.
me.
We love Zoinks, but come on.
We love Zoinks, but he's the one that keeps saying he wants just a Joe and Sierra show. So I was saving all of our fun worlds tidbits for when you got back. So I think it's about time to make Zoinks happy and get in here.
This one's for you, buddy. But yeah, where do we want to start for Worlds?
I think we start at the end. We're gonna switch it up. Everyone starts at the beginning. But I think that Championship Sunday was just way too iconic. It was way too many good stories and good bouncing back and forth points to go off of. So I say we start with Sunday.
All right. Yeah, for anyone who might not have watched the Worlds broadcast, go watch it. What are you doing? This Championship Sunday was unlike anything other. So this was the first year that we've ever had it in an arena, which was just unreal energy. Like oh my gosh, that was crazy. And yeah, so walking into the arena for the first time, it was so nerve-wracking. So I got to cast on Championship Sunday for the senior finals, and sitting there and like watching the crowd and everything else was like, oh my gosh. Then there was that extra anticipation because it was like Kevin Hahn is about to become a back-to-back world champion. I'm extra nervous now. Oh my gosh. And yeah, it was just a completely different atmosphere there. There was definitely, I think, a couple of misses on the Championship Sunday in terms of like there being open seats and like people not being like quite allowed inside, which I really do hope gets addressed for next year. But I think for the first time for the arena, especially too, Pokemon trying new things, that pretty happy with how things went. And it was cool to be able to see like this side of Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the arena was breathtaking. Like we were very fortunate to actually be in there. But I think no matter where you were sitting, the great angle and with the great visuals on the actual stage for all four of the games were really cool, right? Because we've had other worlds and other ICs where Pokemon Unite is played on Saturday finals, but they put them on the Sunday to have all four of us all with our special graphics and things. I remember people in the Discord were asking us like, what time should we get there if we want to be there for VG? And I was like, you should get there when like Go is just starting. Like it is like we're used to other arenas. I mean, we're used to other convention like things where people go into halls, people go into conventions to events before the panel that they want to see, right? So they can have good seats for the panel they actually want to be there for. So like I knew it was going to be a big deal. I didn't know they weren't going to let people in like, and just leave some empty seats. That was kind of a bummer. But like the production quality was literally breathtaking. From if you thought imagine how good it looked on Twitch or on YouTube if you guys were watching at home. However good it looked on your computer, it looked even cooler in person. Like it was an absolutely really cool experience to be a part of.
Yeah, I definitely wish the arena was packed because I think that was the one thing that did take away because it was a bummer sitting there knowing that people were wanting to get in and couldn't. What was nice is the original hall, obviously, like how they have the stage and like the seats set up for the day 1 and day 2. They actually kept all of that open. They kept the chairs up and they kept the screens up and they were broadcasting the arena in the hall. So anyone who didn't get into the arena or didn't want to go into the arena, because the thing with the arena too is you might not be with your friends if you're getting there late and they do let you in, right? But at least then at like the hall, you could go in, come and go as you want. And the hall was packed. Like the actual convention center itself, that area was packed for the finals, which was, I didn't actually expect that originally, but it was cool to see like how many people wanted to like watch that and experience that.
Yeah, I think you just wanted to be a part of it in general, right? Like you didn't want to sit in your hotel room or in like somebody else's spot. Like I think that was a great job. I think I don't know if like they were like staff were letting people know all day that those seats were open, because I feel like that maybe could have alleviated some people's stress. If they just want to stand in line trying to get in, they could have just went right into the regular hall and sat there. But over time, it did get through. And like, even if you were still next to the arena, you're still a part of the experience. Like I think overall, it was still like we tried to serve as many people as possible. I think there was over 30,000 people in total throughout the entire weekend of in and out the door at some point, like 30,000 individual people. So we're kind of getting pretty big here.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I definitely think it's important to voice like criticism and where things can be improved, and like this sort of stuff definitely as well. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like everything is perfect all the time, but I will say that like seeing where the game is now in comparison to where it was and how much it's grown, like there's going to be growing pains. I think that was a little one there that definitely I feel for the people that got affected for it. But I think going on forward, like this was the learning opportunity, and looking at with where the potential of where this could be, I think it should only get bigger and better. But talking about the arena itself, because I was saying that like doing crowd work was something in South Korea that I didn't really get to do for Pokemon, but Championship Sunday was a little bit of an exception for that because we actually got the space and time to, and a lot of the times too, it actually lined up really interestingly. A lot of the times for Championship Sunday, this is a little behind the scenes knowledge for you all. We don't have time for anything extra at all.
Yeah.
Like, I am not kidding. It is a, can we do this? No, we do not have, we simply do not have the time. A lot of venues, like, there's times you have to be out by, and like, even like an extra 5 minute segment can completely throw the timing off. So, a lot of the times, there is maybe something we want to do and things get cut, and it is the way it is, right? And Championship Sunday, it kind of looked like it was going to be more in the position of like things getting cut. And then all of a sudden, the game started going really fast near the end. And then you
Yeah.
get the juniors finals that goes really fast, and the seniors finals that goes really fast. And then we're in this position where we actually have time to do stuff.
And they've already announced the time that Ishihara is going to come on stage for the announcements, right? So they can't, if they said 5 o'clock, they can't just have him come out at 4:35.
Yeah, so we got this weird position. So it even happened after senior finals because like they having like the timeline wise couldn't quite do masters yet. So then we got to have first off, Doof Snacks and Spraggles go and fire t-shirt cannons out into the ground. T-shirt cannons.
Roles they were born to play, by the way. They were
honestly,
iconic with those, yeah.
I wish they could hear us on stage. So I was saying on the broadcast. So me and Lee had to commentate over the t-shirt cannons.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, Spraggles, come give me a t-shirt cannon. Give me a t-shirt cannon. But they couldn't hear us. So instead they tried to shoot t-shirts at us. Did terribly at it, by the way. Love you guys. Terrible. They did better with shooting them towards the crowd, though. But yeah, that was super, super funny. And then we got to do like little interviews and stuff. And we got to do a run back of one of the most iconic moments.
Yes, we did. So I just want to let everyone know before we get to the story, this was complete happenstance, circular, like it's situational. Like this was not planned. This was literally just like the serendipity of the world coming together to make this bit happen. So I was not a part of the world's broadcast this year. I was the host of the programming stage for anyone that was in the venue that was in the third hall. So you had like you had the main hall, which had the TVs and the player area and, the main stuff. To the right was all the vendor stuff and the, Legends EA and like all the fun little photo, marketing things. And then the left hall was the programming stage, the Ride on Bike, some of the world's history and stuff like that. So I was in that third hall the whole weekend. And I would go backstage, I would hang out with I'd say hi to the casters, go see them in the green room or whatever, pester them a little bit, bother Lee where I could here and there, Yeah. But for the most part, I really did kind of just stay separate because I was just so busy doing my own thing at the programming hall. So I wrap up at about 4 o'clock. I think 3:45 was my end thing. And they just like I was talking with Paperlight. They're like, "Hey, you want to come with the other casters? Like, you can just sit in the caster section." I was like, "Okay, sure." So they take me to the arena backstage, and then basically I just kind of got lost. I was on the main floor, the main stage, and all the casters were on the second. I couldn't figure out how to get to the second area, and I was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna sit at a random chair here on the bottom floor. Like, I'm still at Worlds. I'm still hanging, whatever. And Gabby finds me sitting by myself, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I was just watching. So then Gabby was hosting, doing all the floor interview stuff. She's like, "Okay, come sit with me." And we sat like dead center, and she would leave to do the interviews and then come back. So that was nice that I had somebody to hang out with for Worlds. And then, as you said, we had a lot more downtime to kill than I guess was originally planned. And I was wearing a suit from when I was running my own I was monitoring my own panel earlier that day, so I was dressed up in a suit. So Zach, one of our production camera guys from Paperlight, he sees me and Gabby both dressed up. He's probably got all these things going on. He just assumed that I was working, and he was like, "You two, we need downtime segments. Both of you come up with something." And I like pointed, like, have you ever seen that meme of the guy pointing at himself? And it was like, me? I'm not even working Worlds. What do you mean? I'm not on camera. And he was like, come up with something. And I just literally was like, and as I turn to look at Gabby, I see one Joseph Ugarte in the crowd. And I say, oh my God, we're about to tie a bow on the greatest bit, because 2 chairs away was Victor Medina, a European. And I was like, oh my God.
To pause here, I feel like a callback to NAIC is needed real fast to give the proper context. So if anyone has not seen the NAIC clip, I will post it in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, I implore you to watch that before you keep going on with this episode. For any just audio listeners, remember how there was no North Americans in the top 8 of the North American International Championships?
True.
Joe Brown goes out to the crowd and starts asking the North American players on broadcast what they're doing. And they all respond, just watching the North America International Championship, as they're all in the crowd, making a big deal about how they're the top players, that the favorite to win the event. Yeah. And then just making fun of the fact that North America was not in the top 8 of the North American International Finals. And that was a hilarious segment that came out of that. It was really, really funny. Now back to Worlds.
We come back. I see Joe Ugarte. I see Victor Medina 2 chairs away from him, and how all the EU trash talk, which I guess I kind of contributed to with that NA bit, but regardless, the EU trash talk over the last 2 months from NAIC about how EU's the best and EU's going to win, and Italy's the greatest thing ever since sliced bread, yada, 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 right? And the EU, I think, didn't have any top 8 and only, I think, 2 EU in top cut in total, whatever the number was. Regardless, it was not.
And 2 Americans in finals.
In finals, correct. And so I was like, Joe, you want to tie a bow on this, baby? And he was like, what? And he figured it was like, yeah. So and I went up to Victor, who is truly one of the sweetest human beings I've ever met in my life.
Honestly,
we really love Victor Medina. He's really one of the nicest people ever. And I was like, Victor, I swear on my life, you do not have to do this, buddy. But he was like, no, it'll be great. It'll be great. And then, like,
didn't he say that they deserve it?
That's what he said. So at first he's like, yes. And so I tell Zach, I'm like, okay, we're going to do the bit. And he's like, what? And I was like, Zach, we're doing the same thing from NAIC. Just literally exact same thing we're making fun of Europe this time. He's like, okay, got it. And they knew the camera pan and everything. Like, we didn't have to redo any, reblock anything, he just had that in his memory. And so, like, again, like 2 more times before we went live, I was like, Victor, again, you can back out at any point. I can just sit here and interview Joe Ugarte for a couple of minutes. And he was like, no, we deserve it, is what he said, which means he's a good sport about it. So we do the whole bit. I was like nervous because I wasn't on camera the entire weekend. And I'm like, here I am just coming in cold to the bit. But like, because we already did it once, exactly, I knew it was going to be good. Basically, Victor played it perfectly. You could tell he was nervous, but he played it sad. Like, EU stunk that weekend, right? And then I turned over to Joe, and the whole bit, last time I was saying, are you rooting for any Americans? And no, because America sucks. This time around, are you rooting for America in the finals? Little directorial or editorial decision by Joe. The line was supposed to be paused and say, yes, I am, because before the answer was no, I'm not. But he changed the line to, I'm rooting for both of them. And I'm like, oh my God, Joe, you're not the director here. But it worked. So I give him credit. He took a risk, and we appreciate a risk taker when it pays off. So I give Joe credit. We're all popping off. I'm like, Casters, proudly back to you. First time since 2016, yada, yada. And like, the amount of people that messaged me that were just like, once I saw your face, I knew it was going to happen. It was just so funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, I will say, the line, I'm rooting for both of them, I think that's just so much better. Like, I could risky to take a risk, but when he dropped the I'm rooting for both of them, I was like, damn, like that's cold. Like, yeah, but oh my gosh, it was so funny. Because especially too, so once we got both Americans in the grand finals, we had pitched it to our producer on Saturday. Not Joe Brown completely out of this conversation again, because this was in the the caster Discord. But we had told Katie, like, hey, can we get Joe Brown on the broadcast, and can we like run this, or can we film a segment and play this? Like, can we call back to this? And for time reasons, it was like, it probably is not going to happen, right? So that was completely axed. we had talked about maybe even just filming it and like doing that sort of bit for post it on Twitter or something, just to like
Yeah.
call back to the bit, right? And that also just ended up not happening, just like everyone's doing everything on the Saturday night, right? So it was kind of like lost all hope that this was going to be a segment ever planned or anything. And then, yeah, so it's me and Lee, and we know that they're trying to fill for time. And they're like, throw to Joe Brown in the crowd. And I'm like, like,
Sierra and I really didn't even talk too often all weekend, so you had
yeah,
no idea this was happening.
it was kind of like one of those, like, because you're not on the event. Again, if you're not contracted for the event, you normally will not be doing any sort of segments, right? It's also just kind of respect, like
Yeah.
let the people enjoy the event. Let Joe Brown enjoy the event. So then it was like, if they're having Joe Brown do something, like there is something that it's only supposed to be Joe Brown. So there was just kind of like, as soon as they say like throw to Joe Brown, there was like this inkling of like, oh my God, are they gonna do it? And then they switch to the camera and it's the close up of Joe Brown's face. I'm like, oh my God, they're actually gonna do it. Like, let's go. They're gonna run the segment. So
Like, you could tell there was a gasp in the crowd when it cut to me on the close up. Like, people understood what was about to happen.
So funny. And yeah, it was really funny. It came back to me and Lee after. We're cracking up. We're like, anyone but Victor. Like, genuinely, Victor is so well liked on like the broadcast end of things, like in the back end. Like, he is such just like a sweet person. And yeah, like it's like not Victor, anyone but Victor. So yeah, that was really, really funny. And it was fun to be able to have like that crowd work. So you got to go out there. Gabby was running interviews. Chip got to do games and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was cool. It'd be nice if in the future that there's time scheduled in for more of that stuff and like scattered throughout the day. Obviously, with time restraint reasons, I understand like why that can't be a thing. But I thought that was really cool to kind of just like have that at the event. It made it feel very event-esque, right? Like,
Yes.
we're in an arena and we're running these things and we're
bouncing back
having
and forth.
fun. Yeah. It was cool.
Yeah. I also just like how the world works out, right? I'm not on World. I still get to participate, and I'm still hosting at World, so I still have a role and a job to do. But
Yeah.
the fact that like I was fully intended, like I'm just doing something else. I'm not a part of the broadcast whatsoever. And because I was lost and didn't know how to get to the second floor, I was sitting with Gabby, and because I was there, they asked me to write a segment, and Joe happened to be sitting next to Victor. Right? It was just the whole world worked out for that bit. And I say now, the bit's done. We closed it. We tied it out. We've sealed that box. We're not gonna do that draw in bit anymore for if either there's no LATAM or there's no EU or whatever. Like, we closed that storyline.
I feel like there's opportunities, but we'll see.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah.
We'll see what the future holds. But
What was it like casting in the arena?
It was crazy. So first off, like, I was so nervous. Like, the arena, it wasn't even the arena that was nerve-wracking. It was the fact that, like, I didn't want to mess up. So I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I feel like I fumbled the seniors finals last year in Honolulu. I don't think it was a bad cast by any point, but there was at one point in the cast where I could have talked about Ray more, and I didn't. And it's just kind of like, like I could have done better, right? Like, I don't think I did necessarily bad, but I could have done better. And it's our world champion, and I feel like I didn't get to represent him well, right? So, like, that has haunted me. I'm not kidding. That has haunted me. I've heard the clip back. It haunts me. So I was really in my head about the seniors finals because I was like, I don't want that to happen again. Like, I don't want to sit here being like, I screwed this up, especially too, knowing, like, seeing the teams and just knowing how strong of a trainer Kevin Hahn is. He just won World. He's been having an incredible season. Knowing that there's a legitimate chance that, like, I'm casting a part of history either way, but, like, with his story in particular. So I was like, I double can't screw this up. Oh my gosh. And then when the juniors finals was getting done, I started to have like a panic attack. So I actually stepped backstage, like behind the curtain, and was like freaking out for a second. And I thought there would be more of a pause before it comes to us. And then all of a sudden, like, our talent manager like runs back and is like, Sierra, you need to be out of there now. Like, right on the stage, right the second. And I'm like, I can't breathe. So then I run out there with just seconds before it's supposed to come back to us, trying to clip this headset in place, trying to get this wire in place. I'm wearing heels. I didn't know how to get onto the stage because, like, the stage, like the entrance is actually behind the curtain, but I ran out to the thing. I was panicking, and then it comes to us, and I'm like, I'm still having a panic attack, man. I'm like, hello, everybody, we're here for the seniors finals. And oh my gosh. Plus, I was losing my voice because it's a lot of casting over the weekend, traveling and stuff. Like that can happen. So I was worried about like my voice and like, oh my gosh. So there was so much other things going on in that moment that I didn't get to appreciate the arena cast at the get-go. Like it wasn't until like the second game in the series I finally got to like, okay, I got to appreciate this moment for what it is. And instead of, we had our back to the arena and to the stage and everything else, but they had the game displayed above. So for the second game, I actually turned around and like faced the arena to like cast the game from the big screen to be able to like watch the players and watch like the crowd to like really soak up that atmosphere and like get into like the wow, this is actually happening, which was really cool. Like I don't know, like that was just like a cool moment. Turn around and be like, wow, like this is cool, right? So yeah, it was a surreal experience because that was my first arena cast. For everyone on the team except for Rose, it was their first arena cast ever. So that was like, it was definitely a very unique experience. It was super cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool that you had like you were able to take a breath or take a step, like out of body experience, like be in the moment, appreciate the moment, but also like appreciate that you're in this moment, right? Look at your casting in this arena. Look at all these people. Look how big the screen is. Look at how the cool stuff is. So being able to still cast, but take that moment for yourself to be like, this is awesome.
Yeah, so it was cool. It was cool. And then I also think too that like me and Lee, like first off, Lee is phenomenal. Lee is crushing
He's
it
the
all
best.
weekend.
He's the best.
Lee genuinely is the best.
Yeah.
And I think we did pretty darn okay for the seniors finals. My voice cracked once during the line. They literally like the end call happened so fast. It's like the second game happened so fast and all of a sudden like Kevin just KOs both Pokemon to win the game on the spot. And we're literally his Calyrex survived to be able to get to that point. So we're yelling about the survival because the survival was big. He was probably gonna win the game anyways, but we're yelling about the survival. Then he gets the double KO. So we're yelling about the double KO, but the double KO was the game, like those are the last two KOs. And then so it instantly goes from yelling about the survival, yelling about the double KO to yelling that he is your 2025 Pokemon World Champion. And there is like one point where my voice like cracks for half a second. And that's going to be the new thing that haunts me, unfortunately. But like, unfortunately, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like, because the call was so long at such a hype level, like, normally, like, you know how it is. A lot of like end games, like the player's in a clearly winning position, but then the other player forfeits, or like they do the thing to get them in the winning position. Then they have one turn to clean up the KO and win, right? Like, I don't feel like too many opportunities, especially on a big stage, do we get a game that actually ends with that double KO and ends on the spot. Like, that is it. There's not an extra turn. There's not a last Pokemon. So like, yeah, but other than that, I was pretty happy with it. And like, yeah, incredible. Back-to-back world champion. That's absolutely crazy. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I'd actually run into Kevin and his parents earlier in the hall that day. I was like, I'm rooting for you. And I remember telling somebody backstage the programming stage that I was like, listen, I lost to this kid at a local in Jersey. It was like, I'll feel a little bit better about it all these years later if he becomes 2-time world champion, right? That I lost to a 10-year-old. And then I literally, as I saw him and his parents, they were talking like, oh yeah, he was just tell us about that time you guys played each other at Rutgers. And I was like, oh my God, bro. It's like even all these years later, he still remembers that he cooked me with his, he cooked my Palafin Arcanine balance team at Rutgers. But I was like, I'm rooting for you. And I was like, listen, I know you're not from New Jersey, but you play all your locals in New Jersey. You get your coaching from Jersey people. Like, Jersey's claiming you this weekend, okay? And he was like,
you are Jersey. You are Jersey. I'm just glad I didn't jinx his match because me and Lee casted Chris Hahn's game on like the first day. And he was like, and Chris won. He's like, thank you for not cursing my match, because we always talk about like the joke is caster curses, right? Yeah. So I was like, no problem. And then casting Kevin's match, and then he also won. So I was like, maybe there's no caster curse. Like maybe there's always like a lucky caster. So maybe it's just like a lucky caster. Like, you guys can win if I'm casting your guys' games. But
I think that's a better perspective. And then people are
Yeah.
going to be like, "Oh no, please let Sierra cast my winning in, please." You know, like
There's always the blessing and the curses, right? So it's like you just don't know, because maybe unfortunately I might curse your game. Like, let's see, but we got now, like, currently lucky, me and Lee are the lucky casters for the Hans.
okay,
OHKO is lucky for whoever features on OHKO before
yeah,
a big event.
pretty much, yeah.
As Tang's now like twice day 2'd after appearing on OHKO. The blessings we're
And he won
stacking
the
them up.
regional after. He
Yeah.
was on 2 times in 3 weeks because he was on
Yeah.
right before, and then he won San Antonio. So
Yeah, there you go. And then doesn't Ugarte, like, if you're casting an Ugarte game, doesn't he normally win?
I would say I feel like I have a pretty good track record with Ugarte.
Yeah.
The only one that I still like to joke at him at, that it was 2022 Vancouver, the haunted COVID one, where
the cursed
he lost.
Vancouver.
Yes, where he lost round 3. I cannot remember the player's name, but I'd never seen the player before, and it was like one of the biggest pub stompings I've ever seen in my life. Like, and this is like top of the world Joe Ugarte. Like, this is prime 2022, one of the greatest players who's ever played this game, Joe Ugarte. Just get like 2-0, 4-0 both games by this guy. I cannot remember for the life of me his opponent. So I do like to throw that little dig back at Joe. He doesn't have 100% win rate when I'm casting his matches, but it's pretty good.
He's never going to let you cash his match again after you're sitting here and you're like, I remember when he got destroyed. Like, dang, let him leave the past in the past. Why you gotta do him dirty like that, But
I technically have not cast him win a regional yet, so I guess maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why Joe doesn't want me to cast.
Oh, no. We're actually not lucky casters for Joe. Remember NAIC?
Oh, true.
Yeah, okay,
And
sorry.
you know what? And Kyogre wins the raffle, right? I take it back.
All right, apparently we're not
Joe,
Joe.
I can't cast Joe's matches anymore because we want him to win. So
no, yeah, you're banned. You're banned. You're banned.
It's my fault. Yeah.
All right, other stuff from Worlds. Obviously we've talked about the finals with Gio, and I would still like this opportunity at some point to be able to talk to James about stuff as well. But I don't think we've ever actually talked about the closing ceremonies. That was only briefly touched upon in Gio's episode when talking about champions at the end, but we actually didn't really get to talk about much. So first off, Arena, the live musical performances. Singer was so talented. It was crazy. Like, that live singing like that.
Back-to-back songs too. That was the thing. So that was like 10 minutes of singing. That was a lot. Yeah.
And like,
all
she was crazy talented. That was so good. And then announcements. So did the normal. There is announcements for all the games, etc. VGC, they did officially announce that Champions is going to be played for 2026 World Championships. So that means it is coming out before the 2026 Pokemon World Championships.
Simple.
When? We don't know, but it'll be sometime before then. So,
I mean, I think it was really smart of them. The same way that the San Francisco league happened or whatever, to just rip the Band-Aid off and announce Anaheim and San Francisco, just get it out of the way so people can already start planning and get excited for it, instead of having this like fake limbo where like we all know Portland Regionals is real, but nobody has announced Portland Regionals exists, even though people are flying. You're going to be booking everything. Like, we know it's going to happen at some point. Rip the Band-Aid off, get everyone excited for Champions, show off the new Pokemon. Like, there was literally a point, because I got to the caster spot finally by the time the closing ceremonies happened. I was sitting with the other casters, and like the first like 20 seconds of Champions had only shown Pokemon that were in X and Y's national, or the Kalos decks. So like not just Gen 6 Pokemon, but like the regular Megas, right? Like the Mega Kangaskhan and Mega Mawile and Lucario and stuff like that, and Gardevoir. So those first 20 seconds was like, are we getting a retro format? Like, I was actually popping off. I was like, oh my God, is there like I turned to Jake and I'm like, Jake, 2014? And then as I look back, there's a Como on screen and I'm like, oh,
you're not getting a retro format.
No retro format for us. But like, I just think it was so hype. Like, just any little droplets they can give us about Champions it's going to be more than enough for us to, to eat up. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I definitely like. I'm curious with the decision to not release not have the release date yet. I'm curious if it is still like there's, I don't know if issues is the right word, but like limitations, like why hasn't there been a date,
I
right? Are
think they're
they
trying to
trying
find
to do
that
it?
proper window. That's what I think.
I feel like any time is the proper window. Like, I feel like because you already know when the world championship is, you know when this regulation ends, you know when the next regulation's announced, when that's end. So I
Yeah.
don't even know if it's about windows anymore. Like I kind of feel like the game is still being created and to a point where like they don't know whereabouts it's at and don't want to promise like a January if the game's not ready till March. Cause I
Right.
do think that it would be incredibly bad if the game is released and there's bugs or like anything of that sort. So maybe taking their time because I don't see any other reason why they wouldn't just release the release date or even have like a month, right? Coming January, coming March, coming June. Because like if it's earlier in the year, then we know that we get two regulations with it. If it's mid, we get one. Or do they just switch systems right before World? I highly doubt that one, but like like so I'm kind of intrigued about a lot of that. It's I don't know. I'm curious as to when they'll finally announce it. Like because I feel like if they had an inkling of a time, the World Championship is the best time to announce that.
Yeah, I mean they announced the Pokemon XB a year in advance, right? So like they're allowed to announce things far out. Now typically Pokemon doesn't like doing that, right? They don't like having that long of a wait period of announcing, right? Every new generation is usually about 9 or 10 months at the most of marketing before it comes out. So like they don't want to release information too far in advance, but like yeah, I definitely think there are so many ways it could go with this release date because like I've said it from anyone that's asked me. We have no inside knowledge, obviously. My suspicion is on Pokemon Day, on the 30th anniversary, they will announce, they'll like shadow drop it. You know how all these video games at different like E3 style like press conferences and Nintendo Directs and Sony plays whatever state of plays, like they're like, this game out today, right? Like they do that all the time in the gaming world. So like that's been my suspicion the entire time. I could be proven wrong, obviously, but like, do they want to release it in January so that you have the February EUIC as the first event? You have a major international, but then if it's a major international, do you want to deal with all those players and potential bugs and all stuff? Do you want to choose like a small regional or like to launch it, but then like your most exciting project you've potentially ever made for competitive Pokemon is going to be released at a 800 player regional because it capped out earlier? Like I think there's so many ways that they could go with this. I'm not sure if like what the right answer would be, or do you just wait till NAIC and say NAIC and Worlds are the two champions events and you only have the one format?
Yeah, especially too because I know that they have switched games mid-season before. But I feel like this one's such a drastic switch up. So that would be then weird. Like I've been kind of thinking of January because we know that the current regulation ends at the end of November and there isn't any majors planned for December. But I still feel like then if it was January, we would have had the announcement of it being in January because that's 3 months away at this point, which is crazy, right? So like I don't know. It's like the great mystery. Like the fact that we know that it's sometime out before Worlds and then just have no other information is like driving me crazy. And I'm so curious as to when we get that information. Like, are we like I think Shadow dropping it on Pokemon Day would be cool, but I also feel like that's so long to wait for a game that is literally our next game, right? That's like
Yeah.
our next world, our future. So I don't know. It'll be
I think I
interesting.
think once we get through Legends ZA and once we get through that release cycle and that marketing cycle and we get through Black Friday of trying to sell as many Legends ZA Nintendo Switch 2 combo bundles as possible, like once we get through Black Friday and the whole ZA, they got as much money out of those couple months of ZA as they could. Then you go all in. You go full court press on champions and on all the marketing and everything, you know?
Yeah. It'd be interesting because I feel like not having it I don't know if the game is ready, that is, like having it I get not wanting to step on Legends EA hype, but like Legends EA is coming out like mid October. I feel like if they re-hit, oh my god, a Switch 2 and a new Pokemon game at holiday time is just such a good opportunity, right?
No, but
Because
they
like
told us 2026.
yeah, so then that's why I'm just like
So
confused, and that's why I keep thinking January because they could be like, I mean, after Christmas, it's only 6 days till January, so like everyone gets their systems again for Boxing Day, etc. Like
mhm.
I don't know. It's so I don't know, but like I don't really understand like when they announce news anyways, because they didn't announce any new megas or anything at Worlds, and then announce Mega Victory Bell like a week later as a Twitter post, which I feel like that could have been for Worlds. So
Either that
I don't
or
understand.
the Halucha video. Now, yes, maybe they weren't
Okay.
done processing, but like you're in an arena of people and you have a video of Halucha and Machamp fighting in an arena in a ring,
Yeah,
right?
imagine.
Like, yeah, that
But
would have been
yeah,
hype.
that would have been so hype. But yeah, so we didn't get the mega news till after Champions. We don't have a release date, and yeah, going forward, we're on the Sneasler regulation.
Oh
So,
my god, don't remind me.
and you got to play in Pittsburgh with
I
that.
know, yes. So yeah, I've been shout out to the OHKO community. We've been working together, building a fun team. No leaks, no leaks, but bringing it to the GC this upcoming weekend just to get some best of one tests. I'm sure I'm going to lose to some random cheese I never considered, but we're having fun there. I mean, um, for Pittsburgh, like it's fun. It's not far away from me right now, so it's going to be a fun, quick weekend either way. Like, do I wish I was not playing Reg H? Yes, definitely. But like, beggars can't be choosers, right? Maybe we could have been playing another format. I would not have liked as much. But I think the online sentiments here is there's been a lot of people that are like, man, this is worse the second time around than it was the first
It's
time.
so back and forth. I feel like I see one Twitter post that's like, "This is the best regulation ever. Thank you so much for bringing it back," and the next one is like, "I hate life."
I'm doomed. Yeah, I'm never
Yeah,
playing
like
Pokemon again. Yeah.
it's total polar. There's nobody in the middle. It's just total polar opposite. So that'll be interesting. But anything else from Worlds to discuss before we fully,
I mean,
almost
like
fully put the bow on?
opening ceremonies, like literally close to tears in my eyes watching Anna and Nate on
That was
stage
so
together,
good.
right? Because like for those who don't know, Nate Wants to Battle and then our world's host Anna Prosser, they are married. They've been married. They're both musicians and actors and whatever entertainers, and so for them to not only get to create a song together, but it's a world's anthem song, and they get to perform it on stage together, like as husband and wife. That normal people just watching a stream just see two people performing together, but like if you know how big of a deal that is that they're together, and it's her 10th worlds and everything,
Yeah.
like how important what Pokemon has been to Anna. And like Nate's just like, I was too nervous to talk to him. He's just like the coolest guy on the planet. Like I was like, he's just so cool that that I think the opening ceremony as a whole, the car, the good game, the first song they did,
Yeah,
like I
awesome.
loved opening ceremonies.
Yeah, it was. Oh my god! First off, like I was talking about losing my voice. Where I started losing my voice was screaming for Anna as soon as she was on the stage. As soon as she started singing, it's like, "Yes, let's go!" Like I was out on the analyst lounge to be able to watch there. Yeah, just screaming and hype for her because that was amazing. Also, just crazy world song. The good games also just really like every song like from this world. There was everything was very unique.
I
It
like
was
them.
very good, especially live, which I really really enjoyed. So that was super super just nice in general. So I liked it. And that car on stage, oh my gosh, that was so cool.
Yeah, I guess my thought on this world's conversations here is like a lot of people are saying that this to them, and there's people who've been going to worlds for a very long time, right? It was 2004 or whatever was the first one, like when it was just TCG back in the day. A lot of people are saying this is potentially the greatest world championship weekend we've ever had. Not just about the games and not just about who wins or whatever, but the whole experience and the arena and the venue and the different halls and all the cool artists that came and the youth, the content creators that you got to have meet and greets with, like everything all encompassing. The fact that it wasn't 145 degrees outside for Worlds for the first time in a really long time, right? Like overall, I might be prone to agree with this. Like this might have been the best Worlds ever.
Yeah, I feel like this Worlds, and I feel like they're doing a really good job of it. They're trying to do stuff like for everyone, which like even obviously there is gripes about individual stuff like the arena, the Pokemon Center. There's always something about the Pokemon Center, right? Like there's always something, right? But like this year they had also in the convention hall, they had about 10 different vendors selling plushies,
Yeah,
cards, etc., which I don't think they've ever done before
never.
for a Worlds. I know at internationals at NAIC, they used to have like three vendors in addition to the Pokemon Center before they really started expanding the Pokemon Center. but that was back in Columbus still, and they haven't really done that since. So being able to go in the hall, like I found like 4 brand new Piplup plushies I don't own, right? Like I got to go and explore all of that and buy a bunch of merch, and that was available for anyone then, right? That was just in the hall. So I felt like things and decisions like that were really, really nice because then it wasn't an exclusive locked behind a reservation, right? So I really
Yeah.
just enjoyed that. Obviously, the venue like was just spacious. There's a lot there. There was the whole one side of it too, where there was the activity stage. There was exhibitions and like stuff of like the past world, past champions, the past plushies. They had like the Maridon, like the
It
actual
was
like type
so cool,
there.
dude.
Like there's just adds so much now. Like it actually like obviously like I'm honored I got to work it. I'll always would rather be in the position of being able to cast these events, but the one thing you miss out on is you don't really get to see a bunch of the other stuff and everything they have planned. And like they've been putting a lot of work into it, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I think the event team as a whole really knocked it out of the park this year with all the stuff in the 3 different halls. Like I was literally shocked when I walked in and saw all those vendors, and like I was looking through the slabs, I was looking for cards and plushies and things. I was gonna get a Landers plush, but it didn't. The one place I wanted to buy from actually didn't have a Landers, which I guess we can talk about this too. This got while you were gone, it was quite the discussion in the Discord about the creation of OHKO, like what the theming and everything. And it seems like you were also a little surprised in the logo's creation.
Yeah, so for those who I don't know how much in depth like you went about it, but like yeah, the original name that was pitched was No Guard because we were talking about like OHKO moves and whatnot. It was like what about OHKO? And then it was kind of created from there. And then after I pitched the most brilliant name of all time, might I add, I just went hands off. I'm out of here. And then Joe Brown's like, we tried to commission a logo. It sucked.
It
The
was
person
the
did not understand the
worst
assignment.
$6 I've ever spent. In my life.
Never try and commission stuff off Fiverr, friends. And then after that, Joe Brown's like, I'm just gonna make a logo. Makes this orange logo. Okay. Okay. But yeah,
Cool
apparently
coloring.
like the orange and the pink are from Landorus. It's
and
just
the
pulled
white,
from the palette.
The white's the clouds.
Yeah, I just never knew. I was just like, oh, okay. Cool. So yeah, I learned something over the weekend. I got to learn that at the same time as all of you
podcast.
did. Yeah, own podcast. We're almost at 100 episodes, and yeah, finding out that for the first time. So
listen, it was inspired by Landers. It wasn't like as I said, like we don't got a mustache, we don't got a big tail. We're not just using Landers as our logo, because I think Pikachu would be a little upset with us if we were using Landers as our logo. It's just the color scheme. We're trying to use an iconic VGC Pokemon, right? And I think like Amungus's purple green doesn't look as cool, and Cineraor's red black is too generic because there's so much red and black in Pokemon color branding and stuff, right? So I think we stand out with that orange, white, and a little tinge of pink.
It worked. Like I just didn't. I wasn't aware. But yeah, vendors, worlds, super super cool. Makes me excited for the future of the worlds, especially too. One of the big announcements that did come out Championship Sunday was now Pokemon XP. So like a more like world experience for like casual fans, whether that's held in a hall, whether it's invitation, whether it's citywide. I have no clue. But it's basically like just Worlds is getting bigger, essentially. Like it is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think I saw like a tweet of like the plan of like like from some of the stuff they showed in the trailer in San Francisco, like areas they were covering. Like it's more than just what's it called, the Oracle Center or whatever, where Championship Sunday will presumably be. Like it's going to be a whole bunch of stuff in San Francisco in different areas and different things to do, which is really cool. It's almost Comic-Con-esque, right? Because like there's for San Diego, there's the San Diego Convention Center, or New York, there's the Javits Center, but then all throughout New York City there are other Comic-Con related events. Like for example, last year I went to when there was a Surging Sparks themed event like 10 blocks away from Comic-Con on Comic-Con's weekend, like that Pokemon was hosting. Like, so I think that's really cool for the future, because everybody's saying like that's the natural progression. If there's more and more people that want to attend Worlds every year, we have to give those people a space to attend, because we can't all just fit in the venue, fit in the arena all at the same time. Especially if there's 30,000 people in Anaheim, imagine how many more are going to be part of Pokemon XP. Maybe they'll have like an on venue Pokemon day. What do they call it? What are the ones? Go tours, right?
Yeah.
Like in San Francisco, the weekend of Pokemon of Worlds and stuff. Like I'm sure there's gonna be big panels. Maybe like Steph Curry's gonna come announce Championship Sunday for
Yeah,
like, different
yeah.
like cool things like that. I don't know, but I am very excited for next year. And the looming threat one is the first Pokemon Champions World Championship. The looming threat, like there will be presumably Gen 10 information at Worlds next year if we're going to be on a cycle where Gen 10 releases next year. And also, it is the 30th anniversary and the World Championships for 30th year of Pokemon. So I think next year's going to be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and what I think I really enjoy about this too. So, like, my one worry about expansion with moving casual stuff away from the competitive is that maybe the competitive players do get left out of that sort of stuff. Um, just because obviously, if you're competing, you're focused in the one hall to compete. You might miss on the casual aspects if they're then taking those to other places, right? But I do think that where this is going to be really good for the competitive base is if you look at just the growth of the game, it's just been unsustainable to have everyone in one place, right? Like looking back at Yokohama, like there was a lot of complaints about lines to even get your badges, right? That was for
Yeah.
spectators and for competitors. Um, the point people were saying, like they waited so long in the heat that like it affected their playing the next day, right? So like having things be that little bit more separate, there's going to be assumingly more room for the competitors in their own hall. There's going to be like not as long of lines and stuff. If they're expanding where like the merch is and like other stuff, then maybe there can be more enjoyment of those spaces by competitors because it's not just so crowded because everyone can only do one thing, right? So I definitely am intrigued with how that growth is going to be and how that looks in the future years. But I do think it's interesting because I do think then going back to my points of like feeling left out of it, that whoever's casting next year is naturally going to get left out of Pokemon XP because
Too busy.
you're there to work, right? You're going to be in your one place, do your one thing, right? You're already kind of out of a lot of things. But I guess that's just kind of the decision that people have to make going on forward. Like, do you value like that casual aspect or actually wanting to get your world's invite and be competitive, right? So I'm very intrigued with a lot of the logistics, but I think it is a very, very good thing for the game, especially with how many people want to do stuff. And I'd be curious as well with things around the city, if that is open to everyone. Because I do think a part of the world championships that kind of sucks a little bit is that it is badged and is closed off and stuff goes on sale so early and then you're just done from there, right? Like if you get into an event, like you need to pay, okay, I understand that part, but there's never options to buy stuff at the event. You buy it months in advance, and if you don't get in instantly, you're done. I even saw people this weekend trying to like get into the hall, just people that are Pokemon fans, right? And it was like, nope, you can't. And then you would hope the next progression would be like, where can I buy a badge? But that's never like an option, right? So I'd be curious with the expansion if it is something where more people can experience worlds in different capacities.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think that walk up and enjoy Pokemon experience is definitely not really possible right now. And I know it for like one of my like on our streams, like one of our big our favorite viewers, he was there with his two sons. He lives in LA. He was so excited. Like he's like, oh, you're gonna be there. We'll come. We'll say hi. Like we'll go to the Pokemon Center. We'll take photos. We'll do all this stuff. Like I've never been to Worlds. I've never known anything competitive Pokemon before. And they get there and it's like, well, like we could do a 1 day pass because that's all that's left, and you cannot go to the Pokemon Center and you cannot sign up for any of these artist times, and you cannot sign up to play the demo of Legends EA because you had to sign up 5 months ago for it. Like, all this,
Yeah.
I'm obviously exaggerating, but like they came, they wanted to experience Pokemon. They wanted to be the fans that they are as a family, but they kind of had that experience gated off because they weren't as big of competitive Pokemon fans as everyone else was. They came in July or August knowing they've been massive Pokemon fans their whole life, but they didn't know about this world yet until it's too late. And that is kind of a bummer that you can't, if you're not locked in a year in advance, because even now people are booking hotels. Like people are just trying to find random hotels to book, seeing like if there's any news things, because it is the last weekend of August, which is really late. We have not had a Worlds this late in a very long time. It's like what, the 28th through 31st or whatever.
I didn't
and
realize.
like, kids are back in college. Regular kids are back in school, right? The whole point of having the Worlds in the summer is that so the kids who are on summer vacation can go. They're going to have to go back to school for a week and then leave for a week to go to Kevin Hahn's going to be in school he'll have to leave to go win his third world championship for a week, and then he'll come back to school after it. You know, it's kind of interesting timing.
Yeah, because like it makes sense that like Pokemon has grown to the like it makes sense a lot like logistically of like needing to do this stuff so far in advance, right? Because like if tickets are so hard to come by, of course they have to make the tickets go on sale early so people can lock their tickets so they know whether to book flights and hotels and stuff. Like a lot of the logistics behind it make a lot of sense, but it is still just like a bummer because it's like I would like people to be able to experience it. Like when I started playing the game, like the game was still at a growing point, but like if I wanted to go to World, I didn't have to worry about if it was going to be difficult to get a ticket. It was just very easily available, right? Like maybe to compete, I would maybe have to worry about a sellout if I don't get there in 20 minutes. And that was only for some events. Like it was just very different, right? So then, and you could like, there is times where I've decided last second to go to a regional and there would be spots, right? Like
Yeah.
that also would happen. So it definitely makes me sad that like people are hopping in for the first time. They see that there's an event near them and then they can't actually really experience it, right? So I'd love to see if XP does do enough things to where even if somebody can't get into the arena, even if they can't get into the Pokemon Center or something else, that there's still other activities. There's maybe art stuff, maybe like anything else, like little activities that are around that they could join in. Like even like the Yokohama stuff. Like I went to Yokohama to spectate, but it was all draws for all the extra
Yeah.
activities, and I didn't get any of them. So the only activity I got to go to was because Cilantro had an extra spot, right? So it was even as like somebody going to the event, I couldn't experience a lot of the things. So I'd love to see it expanded out to where everyone could. But of course, then there's their own logistical issues with that. So, and the pain of being a part of a game that's so popular, right? Like
Suffering from success.
genuinely. But
and then hey, just imagine how next year's Pokemon Center experience is going to be.
maybe they do it like genuinely. Maybe they could do a couple like genuinely. If they're doing multiple city locations for stuff, have multiple Pokemon centers.
You might have to.
Like I actually just do think that that's objectively a good idea.
I think,
like,
yeah, I think I was raised, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I'm going to ignore that advice for just a millisecond and say this Pokemon Center experience was truly very infuriating, and I didn't even get to go. Shout outs to Sierra being my hero, getting me the baseball jersey, because that's really all I wanted. But it would have been nice to get some plushes and maybe some other like play mats and the other Worlds exclusive things. But like, man, whatever the decision was this year, it wasn't it. And they got to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to make it more efficient next year. Because presumably it's going to be even more crowded and even more people are going to be there. So we got to come up with a better plan.
Yeah, like I feel like it's just like trying, like, they'll have some ideas in place, but then like the proper, like, because for instance, when I went into the Pokemon Center, they had us in a holding area, and then they made this big deal to like line us up in a certain way. And then when it was our time, they just opened one side of the thing and they were like, run free. And everyone was trampling each other to get to the front. And I'm like,
that sounds about right.
Like,
people were fighting in the alley, in the streets. Like people who didn't even have tickets, who were there at their time was 4:30 and it was 2:15. Were fighting, trying to get in. Like it was a nightmare.
Oh, see, like for us, it was like we ended up being able to skip ahead in line because we had like a whatever our time slot was. People were lining up for the next one, and they were like, "No, you guys wait. If there's anyone with this current time slot, come to the front of the line." And like that part was good. Like some other things, I think one of the big issues is that people are hanging around in the Pokemon Center because it's so hard to get into the Pokemon Center. And then it's hard to get to any item in the Pokemon Center because it's being crowded. So then you have to hang around longer to then get to said item, which then contributes to the issue, right? So I think it was like a big thing of people overstaying. So then they can't let people in, which then affects every single time zone.
I was literally in line for an hour and 45 minutes. And there were the 4 batches of people, like the way you're explaining it. If anyone who was at Worlds, you understand how the 4 different, there's Pikachu, Charmanders, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. And they would let a full batch of Pikachu, then the Charmanders, then the Squirtles, etc. They let 2 groups in an hour and 45 minutes, and I was still 2 batches away. And I was so furious I left. I was like, my time is not worth how infuriating this is.
Yeah, I feel like if you did multiple Pokemon Centers first, that would just be great to like make it so not everyone's in one place. And instead of letting more people in every 15 minutes, because nobody is getting in and out of the Pokemon Center in 15 minutes. Let's just be
Correct.
so honest. I feel like you change the time slots to like per hour. Have it so, okay, so let's say the first slot opens up at 9, get everyone with a 9 o'clock in at 9, kick them out at 9:45. Everyone out. Reset, let the next group in at 10, everyone out at 10:45.
Yep.
That also gives enough time for restocks, because then you can have a certain amount of items if like, because they do like limit the things during the day to make sure they have enough, right? So in that 15 minutes, quickly restock the stuff because nobody's in the Pokemon Center anymore. And then that way the group that comes in at 10 is good. And that means also the final group that's in at 6 o'clock is also good. They still can have the exclusives because things were held on to. Like, I feel like that maybe is a way that could work really, really well. Cause yeah, the 15 minutes, it's just people are hanging around, right? And like, people were just like, dude, I was getting pushed around in there. Like,
Dude,
I
there
didn't,
were literally children getting put, like, that's what they need more
yeah,
security too on the outside,
yeah,
like to fight off these scalpers, to fight off these agitators and people trying to get in when they shouldn't. Like, literally children were like getting threatened and pushed around, and like their parents having to defend them. Like they just, I don't know. It was kind of just
yeah.
deplorable behavior by by people overall.
Yeah, it was rough. I'd like to see too, like stuff like the Pikachus and whatnot. I understand for a lot of the exclusives that they want to maybe keep it exclusive, but like literally just make a million Pikachus and just sell them. And if you have extra, sell them online. Like
Yeah, I agree.
I like just make as many Pikachus. Screw it. Like I don't support the scalping. Just make 1.5 million Pikachu so they can't, and then we'll be
Yeah.
good.
I was very fortunate that I did get it from the events team. I got like a staff bag rotor that had a Pikachu
That's good.
in the backpack right there. So like I got something out of it, but like I was really bummed for 3 days. I was like, the one tradition I've had is I have every World Pikachu since 2014. And for 3 days I was under the assumption I was not going to get one for the first time, you know. So they came in clutch on Sunday, but like, you know, that's just, I don't know. The Pokemon Center needs to be revamped somehow.
Yeah, I think my hourly suggestion is actually
I
a
think it's
banger.
great.
Like
I'm down.
I think that was a great. Dude, they didn't hire me. I'm so
They
good
got-
at this.
They need you to hold 2 ICs the same weekend, right? You know, your other idea, and to
Yeah.
make 1 million Pikachus and have it on the hour.
Yeah, I'm spitting fire over here. I got all the ideas, but yeah, because a lot of the things being like that one exclusive for like the merch stuff, like I get, but like the Pikachu's, for example, like I couldn't pick one up for you if I wanted to because those are set to a one of, right?
Right.
Which then for me, I always like, because my family is very supportive of Pokemon and my mom really likes Pokemon. So like I always get her a World Pikachu from every Worlds that I attend, right? That's kind of like the thing. Like you'll support like what I do, I'll get you one. And I couldn't even pick her up one. Like it was thankfully one of the players who I won't name, they ended up picking up a Pikachu for me. And I could pay them back for it. So I could give a Pikachu to my mom.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's it, right? Which they have to have the limits in place because of, you know, the scalping and stuff, but it was still like a man. So yeah, but yeah, I'd like to see just if they're doing bigger scale events that they can really just expand this to make a good experience for everyone involved. And I'm hopeful for XP because like they obviously like, again, even though like things aren't perfect, like things like people pushing each other around at the Pokemon Center, like Pokemon can't control that. We can definitely do more security, we do other stuff, but like people trying to scalp their stuff isn't, they're trying to do what they can, right? They're
Yeah.
having the draws, they're having the one of, they're trying to limit the time slots. Like I will say they are trying to crack down on this, and it's not their fault that people are wanting to use it for different motives, right? So I'm hopeful with how much effort they've been putting into that sort of stuff that does get reflected in next year. And I do think that things should get better and better, right? Like they're trying, it's tough because the line keeps moving for them, right? Because like you could say that like the London Pokemon Center, people had gripes about that. I'm sure they're more
Yep.
than capable of handling that now, but the line has just gone so far down because Pokemon's expanded so much that like they solve one problem, there's 10 more.
It's more suffering from success. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
classic
But
Pokemon.
yeah.
I do think one
classic.
concern with San Francisco, now it was 10-year, is going to be 10-year anniversary of it, but like if we remember, it had to be in 2 separate halls, and like everything was very disconnected. And so this time around, obviously we're not going to be in the same venue. Like it's going to be hopefully better, but like I do worry that competitive aspect you were talking about. Like if you are Justin Tang and you're there trying to win worlds, you're also not going to be able to experience the Pokemon Go day at the park, or I don't know, meet, like, I just keep throwing out Steph Curry because I'm trying to will into existence, but like meet Steph Curry on Saturday. That's Saturday, at 6 o'clock, but your last game finished at 5:30, and you're not going to get there in time, like, because Worlds is about the World Championships, and Worlds is about the players. But as it has expanded, it has become more about a Pokemon celebration, which I was calling it the Pokemon experience, right? But like, as we get bigger, we are starting to lose some of that. I don't want to say special treatment because people get mad when you say that, but like some of that niche appreciation for the top players in the world, because it's not all about them like the way it used to be.
Yeah, I feel like the little things, like I would love to see competitors get automatic Pokemon Center entrance, or maybe on the Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Little thing like that, because as of right now they don't. They do get their bag, but like let them into the Pokemon Center instead of having to sign up separately. I think that would be a nice appreciation thing. I also do think like little free activities, especially after the event.
At night, huge.
Yeah, because like at Yokohama as well as Honolulu, they had the drone shows. I think that is perfect, right? They didn't end up having anything at Anaheim, at least not as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there was anything. But an activity like that, I think, would be really, really nice. Stuff that happens just outside of the actual playing times. Because, yeah, like I get the people are there to compete, but like, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of those are Pokemon fans too, right? So like, you are giving up on like the Pokemon fan experience to be able to try and be a world champion. So things like just get to the Pokemon Center, enjoy a drone show after you eat dinner before you go back to compete the next day. Like that would be nice for the players, at least, I think.
Yeah, even just the chance to get to play Legends ZA, which I did. And I was so upset. I had like an hour and 15 minutes to kill, and I walked over there, and the line, and I was like, oh my God, the line's not even long. The line's like 10 people right now. I could go up there. And then, they're like, oh, you need to make a reservation like 4 weeks ago or whatever. I'm like, what? Like, there's literally 10 people here right now. It's like, well, that's why, because it's only a certain amount of people we're allowed to register per time for this demo.
Yeah.
And then people were telling me like, oh, just walk in there. You tell me you're Joe. And I'm like, you're Joe Brown. I'm like, that's not how that works. I can't talk to some Nintendo Switch or Nintendo employee that's running the Legend ZA demo and be like, do you know who I am? Like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, no, nah, not gonna work. Which, like, I wish, like, they had more stations for that to be able to cater more people. Because, like, I believe it was Nashville Worlds when they were going to release Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee shortly after. I think I'm getting my games. It is that world.
Yeah, because then
the game.
Sword and Shield was at DC. There was a Sword and Shield demo in Nessa's gym at DC.
Yeah. So
but
like,
Let's Go Pikachu was
Nashville. So Nashville, like, I just stood in line for not that long, and then I got to play the game at the event, and that was a really cool experience, right? So again, just growing pains of it all. But now going forward, Worlds is still a while away because we got the 2026 season to get through. Pittsburgh's coming up. Also, Seattle Regionals was just announced.
It's a big deal. This is a big deal. Seattle Regionals, because that is, TPCI headquarters in Bellevue, Seattle area, right? Like, it's been kind of this no man's land. Like, well, we had so many events in Vancouver because you can't go to Seattle, so they're just going to make it the easy train ride up to Vancouver because that's the closest like home regional the TPCI office can put on. But now they can actually like be in Seattle. Who knows of whatever this weekend? I don't even know what weekend it is off the top of my head. I think it was like February or something like that, right? That like maybe Champions is in Seattle, so it's like they can have more hands on deck, right? They can have more home control over the Champions' first official event or something like that. Like I think Seattle is kind of a sleeper, like major announcement.
I don't really know that one. Like, venues change because normally venues are on a multi-year contract, so I don't know if I'm signing on to. Normally, I'm the tinfoil hat theory person, and right now you're you're totally taking that role over. You haven't been in like
9 years. There's a reason.
Yeah, probably they just didn't want to do Portland or Vancouver again. So I don't know.
But there was the gambling laws in Seattle. That was the reason we couldn't have a regional there. Just like Spain and all the other places in Europe that have special events. That was one of the reasons we couldn't have a Seattle regional for so long. And like here we are. One, having a Vegas regional, and then also now having a Seattle event, which we have not had in, I think it's 8 or 9 years. Like, it is a big deal.
Yeah, we used to have a Seattle regionals though, right? Because I
A
thought,
lot, yeah, very
yeah,
often.
like when was the last one? Because like I'm trying to think if it was a Portland or a Seattle that I've gone to,
It
like in
was
TCG way back.
2017 was the last one I want to say. I'm
Because maybe I did
fairly
get to
certain.
go to a Seattle. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to because I'm curious now. Because yeah, I kind of I don't know. I don't remember the old days. I don't remember the old
Too long
days,
ago.
but I think the one thing with this Seattle announcement is I don't foresee them doing a Seattle and a Vancouver regional championships. They're both
Yeah,
very close cities, which people can make the argument, oh, I don't want to travel internationally. I don't want to go to Canada. I don't want to go to Vancouver. But then that means Canada's losing one of their only two regionals, which you could say the same thing for the Canadians that are forced to compete within the US circuit if they want to get a Worlds invite. It's impossible to get a Worlds invite unless you win the Toronto regional championships. Other than that, you have to go to the States, right? So like to lose, like you could say what you want about the size of Vancouver, the size of the event, or like the amount of players, anything like that. It is all super, super valid. But like it does suck to lose. And like for me, it like double hurts because that is I live near Toronto now. So like I kind of call Toronto and Vancouver both my hometown regionals. But like near Vancouver is where I grew up. So like that's the one where like my family comes out to the event and they spectate. Like last year, my sister and brother-in-law came out. The year before, it was my other sister, my mom, and my grandpa. Like they aren't going to Seattle, right? So like I was gonna try for Vancouver regionals. I was gonna try and see if I can convince my dad to go by. Like that, like y'all don't know my dad. That would be a huge deal. Like that is not happening. Like that can't happen for Seattle. So like, yeah, I'm personally sad about it. So like people are excited about Seattle and stuff, and I'm just like, man, because like we're down to one event now for Canada, assumingly. So
yeah. I definitely feel for the Canadian players that are frustrated with it. I think like obviously the big difference is the going through customs and having to use your password or whatever to get to, let's say, Milwaukee instead of Vancouver. But like again, if you are a Toronto player, or if you're close to Toronto like you are, you still flying whatever X amount of miles over to Vancouver, even if you're not going through customs, is still a longer and potentially more expensive flight than flying to Milwaukee for you, or
it's not
flying
more.
to
It is
right.
not more expensive. I will tell you, Vancouver to Toronto. There is some good discount deals going cross country there. That can actually be a really cheap
Well,
flight
maybe
plan.
Canada's got you covered because going cross country in America is very expensive. So
Yeah.
flying from to New York to Pittsburgh, or flying from New York to Orlando is a lot less expensive than flying to Anaheim or flying to San Francisco will be. So I think I think Vancouver is a historic city for Pokemon, for the World Championship. So I definitely understand their frustration, anyone's frustration that they would have with missing out. But like I think with the venue size, and as you mentioned, like there, the more this game grows, the more of that conversation of is the juice worth the squeeze. And I love Vancouver. Every time I've been, absolutely had a fantastic time. But like, if you could just stick it, what, a 4-hour drive a little further south into America, potentially with a bigger venue and easier travel for Americans. I know it's tough for the Canadians. I get it, but like maybe we'll have a bigger regional than we can with the caps that Vancouver has.
Yeah. Well, for example, for the flight thing, just so the Americans can know out there, the cheapest one I just plugged in random dates, which ends up being 3 weeks. So this is a pretty close by flight, and it for a round trip, it's 184 Canadian from Vancouver to Toronto and back. And then that's on a cheap airline, and then one that is a not so cheap, and that's a nonstop. Then one of the more major airlines, Air Canada, it's 300 round trip. And these are typical prices. So they can be lower. So yeah,
I
it's
feel for the
definitely like
Canadian players. It's just
yeah.
Pokemon wants to have bigger events, right? And
Well, I
unless
feel
they
like
widen out that venue, it's harder
well,
to
I
get.
the place where like it is, like they can do bigger halls and stuff there. I think it's just like what's the point if the players aren't going there, which then goes back to the I understand why the event's not there. I look at it the same way as I look at OCIC, which is if you had to cut an IC, it makes sense to cut the one that had the lowest amount of participants as you're looking to expand the game. But obviously that sucks for that player base so much because that was the closest event. And it goes back to, is the juice worth the squeeze? Now, Australians who want to compete and be competitive have to maybe look at traveling out, or their own events just get so much more difficult to get an invite, right? So it's like their case is obviously much more extreme because losing an IC is a bigger deal than losing Vancouver. But like, I look at it the same. It's just like, I understand it, but like, man, that sucks. So
I feel for
oh
you. I
well.
feel for you. Yeah.
Oh well, it is what it is, but I'm curious when the rest of the events go out. I know sometimes people think that we have inside knowledge on this stuff. We do not. I was just as surprised as everyone. I was just as surprised as everyone to hear about Seattle, but yeah, I'm curious with how things are going to be shaken up because yeah, that's now 2 new locations for this year, as you said, Vegas and Seattle. So yeah,
I think it should be fun. Hopefully they do not keep continuing to drip feed the American regional locations because it's a lot of the European events. Not all, I don't think all of them have them, but a lot of them have been given their dates, and we're sitting here like, man, hope I know what I'm up to in March because I have no idea right now.
You're right. Oh well, it'll be okay. But yeah, I feel like at first I'm gonna sneeze.
Uh-oh.
Nope. 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 Yep. Nope.
Nope.
All right. For everyone's context, I, of course, got to catch something on the plane back from South Korea because nobody covers their mouth when they cough or sneeze anymore. Just cough on everyone around me.
Oh my God.
So now I'm very sick. So I feel like we should wrap this one up with a question of the week if there's nothing else major to discuss. And I don't know if there's someone in particular you thought for a question for, but I was kind of eyeing up Queenie's question.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Cool. So if you made it to the end of the episode here, at the end of every episode of the OHKO podcast, we answer the question of the week submitted by one of our Discord community members. You can join our Discord linked in the description down below. If you're interested, do you ever have any burning questions you would love Sierra and I to answer? They do not have to be VGC related. They can still be mostly Pokemon. You can ask us about music, TV shows, whatever, different things in our lives. And we like to have this fun little non-competitive question at the end of every episode. So this week's question of the week is from our friend Queenie. And they ask, this is a wee bit late. Turns out it wasn't late because we weren't recording yet. You're in charge of getting guests to make the upcoming Worlds album. Who are your 5 or 3, if 5 is too many, dream artists that you would want featured on the Worlds album?
So I feel offhand that we're completely aligned with our first pick here, right?
Well, first of all, I say we drop it to 3 because 5 is a lot, as Queenie said. But we know what our first answer is.
Yeah, so very easily Twice. Just easy. Also, for context, because you weren't in this meeting, but the meeting leading up to Worlds, it was just like our producer was like, oh, there's going to be like there's a video call, but like all of us are typing in chat while they talk because we're muted so they can talk undisturbed, right? And they're like, oh yeah, there's going to be like a performance at Worlds, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, is it Twice? And they stop their train of thought in the middle of the sentence and look and go, huh? Obviously not understanding Twice as a musical group. And then people are like, oh my gosh, it's a band, like it's a group. And then I'm like, all right, I guess that, and I'm like, well, I guess that's not Twice. And again, they just stop and look at it like, huh? I felt so bad for derailing the meeting in that way of all things. So yeah, that is how I got to find out that it would not, in fact, be Twice performing at the World Championships. I knew that, but like, just
keep our hopes alive.
Not yet. But
we're in charge here, Sierra. We're in charge of next year's Worlds album, according to Queenie.
Yeah. So yeah, one of my 3 guests would definitely be Twice. What about you for other guests?
Yeah,
I feel like you would also say Le Seraphine.
Yeah, but I don't want to, we tried, they had like rap songs, they had rock songs, they had other, slow piano songs, right? So they're trying to cover, I wouldn't want to do 2 K-pop groups there. I would love Le Seraphine. They're in America right now, right now doing a tour, but I would say Twice, definitely number 1. I think my other one, I don't even know if I could come up with a third because it's just so open-ended. I got a thing on the third, but my second one, which arguably could be my 1, I would want more than Twice, would be my girl Ariana Grande. She is a big Pokemon fan. She has an EV tattoo, right? And if she's out there on the opening ceremonies, her and Anna singing a song together, oh, that'd be iconic.
Be good. No, that's actually a really good choice. Cause yeah, again, like you said, this is very open ended. Like I feel like I could definitely pick more than three, but for like the whole point is like to narrow this in, right? So like that's a really good one. So going off of different groups, do I think this is a fit for Pokemon? Absolutely not. But in the bias of they are my favorite band, so I would like to see them be the world's album, would have to be Billy Talent.
Okay.
Absolutely love Billy Talent. More alternative. People who look it up. Banger songs, by the way. Surrender, Pins and Needles, Swallowed Up by the Ocean, absolute banger. Just a couple to get you guys started there. You listen to any first, listen to Swallowed Up by the Ocean. Um, Super not Pokemon's vibe, but they're just my favorite group. So I would love to see them. I was thinking as a third, Ariana Grande is a really good pick. I was gonna say Lady Gaga because
That
like
could work.
she has the range, like
She could have her little quaquavel outfit on and do her
yeah.
silly things.
Like I feel like I got to see Lady Gaga live once. Oh my god, what a show! First off, just absolutely amazing. And like first off, Lady Gaga is so talented. Like I don't think
Yeah.
anyone like true like not everyone truly knows that because maybe they'll just take like her pop songs at face value. But if you listen to more of her jazzy stuff and slow stuff, like oh my gosh. So like she's adding a lot of range to the album, right? Like she could do like the slow ballad or she could do the pop song. She could do both. Like I have to pick her. Like, I think that'd be cool. And then, yeah, like you're saying, a Quackrevolve costume or like any of like the Pokemon costumes she'd pull off. Like,
Yeah,
oh my
100%.
gosh, it'd be
I
good.
think also for me, like, there's a lot of different like. Since it's a dream scenario, I'm not going to try to choose like there are some smaller artists I could think about. So it's like they're more manageable. Maybe we could get them if there's no, but it's our dream that Queenie put us in charge of.
Yeah.
And like I think different. Like my favorite like rock band is the Foo Fighters. So like if we could have Dave Grohl out on stage with Pikachu rocking out or something, that might be really cool. Um, I don't know. I'm a really big Post Malone fan. Like I really enjoy him, and he already had that virtual concert with Pokemon. If you remember
Yeah.
during COVID, so there's already a Pokemon Post Malone
And like
connection.
the
He's a
connection.
nerd. He likes magic. Like all these different
Yeah.
things. So, and I'm a big Posty fan. So I guess that would be my third. Would be twice
third.
Ariana Grande and Post Malone.
And the fact that like it actually is more of a possibility because he already has that connection to Pokemon, like,
Yeah.
could happen. Could happen. And I'll say as an honorary fourth, just for Lou, we'll say Taylor Swift here.
Okay, I was happy you brought this up because that was the sleeping giant in the room or whatever. I feel like we had to address Taylor Swift, but I think even with how massive all our other stars are, even Lady Gaga, Ariana, everybody, like they would still make it. Still would be them doing Pokemon, but Taylor Swift is such a supernova, right? That like it would be about Taylor Swift and not about Pokemon anymore. You know what I mean? So like I think she's too much for me. It'd be about her. It wouldn't be about Pikachu. It wouldn't be about fighting for your destiny and trying to overcome your hurdles to become a champion. It'd be about, her. It'd be about Taylor instead.
Yeah, I could see that, but I have to throw that one out there for Lou. I also just like I'm not like I don't have anything against Taylor Swift. Like I will jam out to some of her songs. But,
I love
like,
her music.
talking
I'm
about
just saying.
yeah, in terms of like dream artists, like I don't think I would get as excited as Taylor Swift on the stage with Pikachu as I would for Lady Gaga on the stage with
That's fair.
Pikachu. Like that's just like oh my god, or like Twice or Ariana Grande. Like all those are just like oh my god. So yeah. But yeah, let us know in the comments as well. I'm curious to see in the Discord other people's responses to this because I love it when people respond in the Discord and talk about like their plans as well. And like their answers to the question. That's always a fun one. Plus, I do think it is a good time to join the Discord right now because I won't do we fully want to drop the news or we just want to say no spoilers and we'll announce it soon?
We can say without names. We can announce what is on the horizon.
All right. Obviously, with this being a big year for VGC, with Champions being out next year, as well as just the growth of the podcast in general, looking at ways to be able to help integrate our space and the competitive space together. So we are looking at going forward, depending on how this first session goes, doing a live coaching session in the Discord for anyone who is interested, have a top player from the scene, have their time for an hour, be able to create a team, as well as play through it so everyone can see. So just free live coaching for everyone involved, right? So we're going to try and get that sorted before Pittsburgh for anyone who is competing. And yeah, depending on how this goes, we might try and make it a more regular thing to be able to connect the community in that way. Would love to know what you guys think about it, as well as just kind of anything in the future. If you're like, oh, well, actually, I actually have this really, really good idea. But yeah, all that is going to be going on through our Discord. So if you're not a part of our Discord, feel free to join it. We have an awesome community. We have the questions of the week. There will be a more official announcement as well on Twitter and in the Discord, especially when we have the guests locked in. We have a time locked in and all of those details. So make sure to stay tuned to that.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I think, we're always, as we're currently building a team together right now in the Discord, it'd be nice to have even more experience from our special coaches and best players in the league and in the game, and teaching all of our beginner-friendly members of the community how to play VGC better. The other thing, too, hopefully, fingers crossed, after Pittsburgh, we can get the draft league up and running. It's just a lot of things going on over the last it was an off season between NAIC and Worlds, but like that doesn't mean Sierra and I were not busy. So hopefully post Pittsburgh we can get the draft league up and running a little more better.
Yeah, so it's hard when that's a Joe Brown project and I've just said I'm too busy and I can't. So kudos Joe Brown and everyone else who is helping. And yeah, maybe one day, hopefully soon after Pittsburgh. But as for this episode, if you've listened to us ramble for this long, thank you. I know we are rambling people sometimes, but there is all of our unfiltered thoughts about all the stuff that has happened.
There you go, again, Zoinks, okay? Stop bothering us.
Stop bothering us, Zoinks. But yeah, if you made it to this point of the episode, thank you so much for watching. Next week, looking to maybe have a guest, maybe a world finalist, because we'll see how the cards align. If not, I'm sure we'll still have someone super exciting and be able to have a lot of fun conversations. But thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of OHKO. We'll see you soon.